Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, we're going to be going over my first experiences with Grim Dawn. Now, I have been enjoying Grim Dawn. I started one character and I pushed it all the way to Elite. It was kind of a failure as soon as I swapped over to Elite after finishing the campaign, the main campaign, it felt kind of poo-poo. So I decided to re-roll and now I'm playing this build. Now, ironically, I did not look up any guides whatsoever. Uh, but it was funny. I was streaming the other day and wrecked by Protoss. He came by. He was like, "Hey, you're playing a really good build. Like, did you like watch a video on it?" I'm like, "No, I didn't." He's like, "Oh, because it's like I just really enjoy cremation in Path of Exile. So of course, Ravenous Earth looks a lot like cremation from Path of Exile. So I was like, screw it. And then of course the bone spikes dropped. I'm like, okay, well, I know what I'm playing then, I guess, right? And that's where this build was born. Apparently, this is a very meta starter build, and I kind of just accidentally fell upon it. That does prove that no matter which ARPG I play, I definitely know what the heck I'm doing, and it helps a lot. So that's very amusing. Yeah, my thoughts on Grim Dawn overall. I've really enjoyed it. I think that a lot of people overpraise it in some regards. I think it's a great game with great mechanics. It feels fun to play, feels smooth and all that. But I think people go a little bit overboard when they're like, "Oh, it's like better than PoE and stuff like that." And it might be for them, but definitely not for everybody. Grim Dawn is definitely not for everybody. I was brought up with a Path of Exile background. You know, I played Path of Exile since 3.0, right? So I'm definitely a lot more of an end game focused player. So I don't really get that much enjoyment of playing through, of course, the campaign and doing it like that. Now, for this, I actually did kind of enjoy it. It was nice. It was nice breath of fresh air, but I couldn't see myself constantly just playing the game like that. Now, thankfully, there are mods to fix that. Now, what would I say Grim Dawn is a lot more like? Grim Dawn is a lot more like Dungeon Siege. And I loved the crud out of Dungeon Siege when I was a kid. So it was kind of like reliving my childhood, like as if I was just playing Dungeon Siege again. And I really enjoyed that. I really did. Do I think the game has a great future? I think it does because of the modding community. I think the modding community really does push the game over the edge in terms of playability. I think if it wasn't for the modding community, it would be kind of just one of those games that, like, you just remember and you play later on, right? Grim Dawn's definitely lacking in, of course, the end game stuff in comparison to other ARPGs, but it's not really built around those things. So the mods, of course, help with that, and I don't really expect it to do that. So I kind of just enjoyed it as it was, where I just played through the campaign like normal. I did the normal difficulty, then I did elite difficulty all the way through, and now I'm working towards the expansion content, and of course, eventually doing master, like the master difficulty, which will be really fun. I'll really enjoy that, I think. The challenge, of course. And I don't really have much to do until March 9th, anyways, other than make videos and stuff like that. So I'm definitely going to be playing a little bit more Grim Dawn. So we're going to go in game and I'm going to talk about the character a little bit more in depth. I know Grim Dawn's been covered to ages, but I'm sure some people will be interested in actually seeing what I did with my character. So also as well, I'd like to mention I am new, so if there's anything obvious, anything wrong that's obvious, right? Please let me know. Don't be rude about it though. Otherwise, I won't respond to you because, I don't like it when people are rude in the comments for no reason. So let's go in game, shall we? Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, by the way. All right, here we are in game with the character. The character's name, of course, is Grim Dawn is a cult because it is, no matter what you say. Now, I really enjoyed this character. I think cremation is a really cool skill. Also, when you give cremation free explodey, it definitely makes it a lot more fun to play. So essentially, if you don't know Grim Dawn, this is a vitality damage caster. So in Grim Dawn, if you're new to Grim Dawn, of course. I'm going to assume you are if you're watching this video. Uh, Mainly, there's a lot of different kinds of damage, and vitality is one of those. Of course, one of those damage types. So just it's the red damage, quote unquote, right? The red damage. Now that's what we're mainly focusing on with Ravenous Earth. We're hitting things with these projectiles that are shooting out. Now it does do poison damage in the center, but we're not really focusing on that. We're only focusing on these projectiles. Now these projectiles, they can shotgun on a singular target, and it makes them do a lot more damage, and it makes it you want to like actually face tank enemies and just sit there while they take damage. Of course, it's on a cooldown, stuff like that, and that's really fun. The other parts of the build, eventually, I'm planning on moving into Shaman, grabbing all the good Shaman stuff with Heart of the Wild and Mordragon's Pact. And eventually, we'll move into a Vitality Storm Totem for just a little bit extra single target. But Ravenous Earth's been great so far. I think you use any other Vitality skill with this and do great. So let's just go over, of course, the skills real quick. So I started out as a Necromancer. I leveled raised skeletons all the way to the max first, and then I leveled with them for a bit, all the way until I could push the mastery bar while also, of course, maxing out Ravenous Earth when I got it. And then I swapped over, and it went great from there. Didn't have a single problem. And of course, I went and farmed some infrequents. So if you don't know, in Grim Dawn, monsters, certain kinds of monsters have items that they can drop that are specialized to that monster. So there's a specific monster that I'll show you that drops these daggers. Now these daggers, they make it so that first things off, Ravenous Earth has a lot less cooldown, which means I can spam it more and do more damage because they can overlap and do damage and do more damage if you have more than one of them on. Also, as well, they have plus to levels, which is really strong for. Oh, no, they don't actually have plus to levels. I'm stupid. No, they have a bunch of flat vitality damage and a lot of percentage vitality damage, which just makes Ravenous Earth hit even harder, right? Of course. Now I want to show you guys where these daggers drop real quick so you understand. So in the campaign here, they specifically drop from Mountain Deep. So you can go to, of course, you're going to go through this area when you do the campaign, right? So what I do is I go to Prospector's Trail Rift and I come back through here, right? Now you can do this in normal difficulty, elite difficulty. One of the cool things about, of course, Grim Dawn and the infrequent system is they have multiple versions of the same item that get scaled up as you level, right? So the higher level monsters, the better loot you get. So there's a specific monster you have to kill for it. It's called a Trog. Oh shoot, I'm sorry. Let me put on my buffs here. There you go. Yeah, there's a specific mob you have to kill. So Trog Blood Mage, this guy. This guy right here, the Trog Blood Mage, these guys, they will drop the decaying bone spikes. The bone spikes. And you can, of course, get a few of them early on in normal difficulty. Then, of course, I upgraded when I got to elite difficulty, and I kept coming in here, killing stuff. I cleared the zone fully. If I didn't get it, I'd like exit out to the main menu, and then, of course, reset the zone, go back there, and keep farming it till I had everything I wanted. So that's where we get the weapon. That's very important. Now, another thing, one of the important things about this setup is we do need to dual wield, and there aren't easy ways of dual wielding with this game. You have to do it through other sources. So, for instance, there's a relic that you can buy from Devil's Crossing. Now, the way that reputation stuff works are these vendors here in each faction. If you press, I think, oh no, it's J. Yeah, J. There's like all of these factions, right? And they all have faction points and all that. Now, you need to be respected in Devil's Crossing. And to do that, you need to do essentially all the side quests you can possibly do in normal, and then you can get access to the recipe for Bladesworn Talisman. Now, this talisman what it'll allow you to do, you put it in your relic slot and craft it from the blacksmith guy. He's usually here, but like you'll eventually find him, the blacksmith guy, and he'll let you craft the Bladesworn Talisman with the materials there. So make sure you're picking up materials, and then you can put it on, and then that will allow you to dual wield the bone spikes, which makes it so you can dual wield these, and that gives you a very large chunk of damage and makes the entire game really easy at that point, right? Which is cool. So yeah, that's why my Ravenous Earth is doing a really large amount of damage. Now, of course, our Ravenous Earth is at 24. Levels in Grim Dawn are very strong. So as you can tell there, current level 16 out of 25 here. It's 25, it's bugging out. So it says, as I get more levels, right, that's the next level, I'll get more main hand damage, I'll get the vitality damage, like I'll get more stuff essentially. Oh no, that's Twin Fangs. Oh, I'm being stupid. I'm reading the wrong thing. So Ravenous Earth, it'll get more flat damage in more area as you level it. So you get even more damage. Of course, it makes it so it costs more mana, but it's not really that big of a deal. So that makes it really strong when you get that many levels. That's why I have like leveled devouring. I mean, I have levels to Ravenous Earth everywhere I can possibly get, right? That's really good. So yeah, that's the first thing. The second thing is, so in Grim Dawn, resistances are very important, especially on enemies. Enemy resistances can go over cap. The cap right now, it seems to be 80% like res, and since we're doing vitality damage, there are enemies that exist specifically in where is it, all the way here, and mainly the Chthonian guys, and in this part they will have capped like vitality res up to 150%. And this is important to know because if they have over 80%, they're gonna like essentially be unkillable essentially. And we have to take advantage of that. We have to like fix that. So we grab a lot of sources of negative res, which like Devouring Swarm, right? And of course, we also get Spectral Binding, which then goes into Spectral Wrath, which then of course gives us a bunch of negative vitality res as well when they hit you. So you get 25 here and 65% here. That's enough to quote unquote break it so that you can actually damage them. And of course, thankfully, thanks to the plus levels to Devouring Swarm on our gear here with our daggers, this will raise the amount of negative vitality resistance that we're applying here, which is great, right? So a lot of synergy there. This build works really well because of that. So all of that combined means that we can actually get through elite difficulty very easily, and probably through master once I'm done with all this. Of course, we grab more damage here. We grab, of course, Mark of Torment. So Mark of Torment, it's a skill that you apply to an enemy. It's like a curse. So essentially, it makes it so that like 50% of the damage that you would take is actually given to the enemy instead, all of it. And this is very strong for making you tanky. Essentially, think of it as 50% less damage taken for 5 seconds. And that is really strong. Now, it has a 20-second cooldown, so that means you have to be very tactical with it. You need to know when to use it, and you can like place down, of course, your Ravenous Swarms, set on top of the enemy, place down your Mark of Torment, and then, of course, face tank them. And it's really strong in that regard, especially if you have some leech, which is cool. So Mark of Torment's great. Then we grab Foul Eruption. Foul Eruption is really strong because it's essentially an explosion that it's just extra damage while clearing, and it shotguns as well, which is really cool because like if you have like a pack of mobs, you put one Ravenous Earth in it, bam, whole pack explodes, and it feels really good to play, especially while you're running and placing down stuff. This is definitely one of the faster Grim Dawn builds, it seems, which is really cool that I managed to find this. And of course, Harbinger of Souls, it's just a bunch of vitality damage, a bunch of vitality percentage. You could probably dump this. I don't think I necessarily need this, and you could go into Shaman a lot more. Eventually, I want to go for, of course, Storm Totem. I want to fill out Mordragons. I want to fill out Heart of the Wild, and of course, Oak Skin. I want to fill all of this out, and then fill out Storm Totem, and Corrupted Storm. I don't know if I'll have enough passives for it, but we're definitely going to try. And if that doesn't work, then we'll just go into something like Siphon Souls for just another hit, essentially. We just want a little bit extra damage on enemies because, like, when we're sitting here Ravenous Swarming, right? Like, we don't have anything else to do other than cast Devouring Storm. But Devouring Storm, it's kind of like a debuff. We don't need to keep spamming it. It does do decent damage, though, which is really cool. But yeah, that's like the idea mainly. Yeah, that's it. For the gear, I just went with as much res as I could possibly get. I was very late to understanding how reputation works, and of course, getting all the extra components and getting, of course, all of the augments and fixing all my gear. Next time around, if I play, it'll be much easier as I know where all of the res is, all the augments are, and all that stuff. That would make leveling a lot easier. But overall, it was like okay, the gearing. Uh, I did drop a worm scale foot guards. Stun in this game is really annoying. So having that 60% reduced stun duration is really strong, as it just means that we just, of course, we don't get stunned as long, which is great. Boots are really strong in this game. We also get like a 6,000% damage absorption against elemental damage, and then like bleeding as well, which is really cool. I really like that. That's really cool. Makes us tanky against those sources because bleed in this game is actually a killer. Other items I had Apothecary's Touch. I just dropped it. Essentially, it's just a decent pair of gloves with damage and res on it, and of course, it gives us the Apothecary's Touch, which is just a skill on our bar here that heals us for a bunch, which is great because pots like cooldown, like life pots have a lot of cooldown on them, so having that helps. Now, I am running into kind of an energy problem. If I want to spam my Ravenous Earth, I will run out of mana, especially if I'm casting other skills like teleport and all that. Now, to fix that, I am going into Morrigan's Pact, right? And getting a bunch of energy per second, which then, of course, will make it feel a lot better. And of course, getting extra energy as well from our from going like cunning, I mean spirit, I think. That would give us a lot of extra mana, which then, of course, is then used with our stamina pot, because our stamina pot gives us a percentage of our stamina on top of a flat amount, which is really strong. So the more stamina we build, the better our stamina pot is, and we won't have to worry about it as much. But yeah, that's my plan on fixing mana. But that's pretty much it for the build. Yeah, all that being said, thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.